Zoom recording. Okay, a huge, really big welcome to you all. It's really great to see so many people who have been here every week since we began. Welcome to newcomers. I'm just going to share my screen for a short while. I'll just go over a few protocols, if that's okay with you, and then we will get started. Oh. There we go. So we are on week 5 and our theme this week will be, so what is it like working in a Catholic school? What is Catholic spirituality and ethos? And I'll introduce Julianne to you in a moment, although for many of you she needs no introduction. A couple of very polite reminders, please. If you could keep your mic on mute until you're invited to open up your mic to ask any questions, that would be lovely. The session is being recorded. If you want to use the chat function, feel absolutely free. Hopefully you know how to do that. You should find it on the bottom of your screen there. If you click on the chat function, any question that comes up during the talk or afterwards, if you pop it in there, and then I'll invite you by name to open up your mic and ask your question. If you are struggling for a signal, or if you're moving around a lot, you know, if somebody comes in the room or you need to nip off somewhere, if you could please turn your camera off while you do that, otherwise it's very distracting for the rest of us. And a reminder that our next session is next Thursday, same time at 3:30. So as always, we will start with a prayer, and then after that I will introduce Julianne to us all. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. May you walk with God this summer. In whatever you do, wherever you go. Walking with God means walking with honesty and with courage. Walking with love and respect and concern for the feelings of others. May you talk to God this summer on every day and in every situation. Talking with God means praying words of praise for the beauty of creation, saying prayers of thanks for friends and good times, asking God's help in all your decisions, expressing sorrow when you have failed. May you talk with God every day. Amen. Before we begin, I just wanted to share another question for us all to reflect on, really. What are you coming out of isolation with? After 3 days isolation inside a fish, Jonah came out with a mission and changed a city. After 40 days isolation on a mountain, Moses came out with 10 commandments and changed a nation. And after 40 days isolation in the wilderness, Jesus came out in power and changed everything. What are you coming out of isolation with? What needs to change? And so it is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, who is Julianne Talon. She's currently head teacher of Abbey Catholic Primary School, a 2-form entry school in the northeast of Birmingham, where she's been head teacher for 11 years. In September, she will be taking up her very exciting new post, look at that smile I can see, as Director of Birmingham Catholic Primary Partnership. Is that the first time you've heard it said out loud like that, Julianne? Which will be a partnership of 85 Catholic primary schools. And I know Julianne is going to stay on for a little bit to help out in the changeover with her new school, with her current school as well. But Julianne, you're really welcome. Obviously another friend and colleague and associate member of the National School of Formation and Educarum. So I have known her for some time. So I know we are in for an absolute treat this afternoon. So if I could please just remind you all to mute your mics. I am going to stop sharing my screen. And I will eventually, as Julianne settles into her talk, we've got 50 participants now, Julianne. There might be a few more click-ins. If you see me looking away, it's either because I'm writing down something lovely you've said or I'm concentrating on letting someone in. But a reminder, if you could mute your mics. And Julianne, over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, I can't be trusted with time, so I'm pressing start on my mobile for 12 minutes. So we're looking at this lovely book by Raymond, who spoke to us a few weeks ago. And I was asked to speak about the chapter on Catholic spirituality and ethos. So I reread the chapter, and at the end of the chapter, we're asked to reflect on our own spirituality, how comfortable or confident we would be talking about that with colleagues and pupils, and our school's mission statement and seeing it in action. So I thought, right, I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to start with the last one. When I came to this school 15 years ago, because I was 3 years deputy, we looked at the mission statement, and it was a mission statement 20 years old at that time, and it was a brilliant mission statement of its time, but very, very wordy. It was on every wall around the school, but nobody knew what it meant. And if you'd have asked any of us, the head, myself then as the deputy, about the mission statement, we'd have gone, oh yeah, it's there. But none of us knew what it was about. So we asked parents, we asked children, we asked staff to look at how can we make this user friendly. And we came up with a motto. I was absolutely delighted. It was one of my year 6 pupils who came up with it. And it was learning to follow in the footsteps of Jesus with our friends, family and parish. Now, we got to the point, all of our 420 kids could say that off by heart, from 4 years of age to 11 years of age. Every member of staff could say it. We were so pleased with ourselves. It meant nothing. Nobody was living it. Nobody involved it in our everyday lives. So we thought, right, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make this real? So I worked with my brilliant RE leader. I have to say he was a brilliant RE leader because he's here. And we looked at introducing 3 mission weeks. So we had one in autumn, which was learning to follow in the footsteps of Jesus with our friends, in the spring with our family, and in the summer with our parish. Now the friends one was really easy. We just put it where anti-bullying week was, because obviously all of you know, if you do anti-bullying week, all of a sudden everyone's being bullied. So we thought, well, let's do being a friend of Jesus. All of a sudden everyone's a friend of Jesus. Absolutely brilliant week, worked fantastically. Next term, we did the family week. Again, absolutely fantastic. We put on a free family breakfast. We opened up, because we're a 2-form entry school, we had to divide it into different days, because otherwise we'd have 400 people, we wouldn't fit. And we had family breakfast where you could come with mom, dad, whoever, your siblings could come from a different class, and we all shared a prayer together, we broke bread together. It was absolutely fantastic. And then we had stay and pray sessions where you went into your class and enjoyed that. Absolutely nailed it. Then in the summer term, we did the learning to follow in the footsteps of Jesus with our parish. Now, we did everything. We went over to the parish. We were joining in with masses. We were holding coffee mornings. And we were really proud of ourselves. Like, look how good we are at this. And then afterwards, when we reviewed it, we were like, hang on a minute. We didn't work with the parish there. We completely went in, took over everything, and we did to the parish. These poor people must have just been caught like rabbit in headlights, where we were all going over, we're all praying at them. It just must have been an absolute nightmare. So we worked really hard in the following years of working with the parishioners. Now, from that, one of the things came was we have at that point had a mass every week, but it was completely separate to the parish. The parish had their beautiful mass every weekday at 10, and we had ours at 11:15. Why were we being kept separate? So we worked with the priest who worked with us, and we worked with the parishioners, but now every week we join the parish mass, and the parishioners love it. You can imagine that most of the parishioners attending a 10 o'clock mass on a Thursday are people who've maybe taken retirement, or they've got time on their hands. They love to see the children. We have children as part of the welcoming team, and you come in and they're like, you're welcome to our mass. And of course it's particularly cute if they are reception, and these little 4-year-olds, welcome to our mass. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Children are leading it, they're involving parishioners, and at the end they go forth and they get a little sticker that again the children slap on them as they leave, but giving them a go forth message, and it's really popular. Everyone loves it. But as part of that parish week now, we now incorporate vocations, and we invite parishioners in to speak to the children about their vocations, and that's proved to be really successful. The other thing we were asked to look at was how confident we feel talking about our own spirituality. Now, came head and thought, right, what's going on here? Hadn't got a clue. I think I might feel like that again in my new job. But I thought, right, I'd heard about this head teachers retreat, this national retreat. There was this woman, Sister Judith, banging on about it. Although neither of us look old enough, I had actually been on a course as an NQT with Sister Judith and been really inspired. So I thought, well, do you know what? If her name's on this head teacher retreat, I'll give it a go. Now, it was an investment in me. And as head, you don't do that. You're, no, all the money must go into everybody else. All the money must go somewhere else. To show how I was doing that so badly, this school's over 100 years old, and the head teacher's office used to have a fireplace, and so the room would be kept warm with a roaring fire. There was no heating in this office, and I refused to have a radiator for 3 years because I was like, no, the money needs to go into the children. That's just silly. I was blue. I needed to have a radiator. And in that same way, it was right that there was an investment in my spirituality, because I realized, like, I am the spiritual director of school. So I need to get some investment here. Now, lots of heads, I don't know if any of you here, but lots of heads have said to me, oh, I haven't got time. I haven't got time to go to a 2-day retreat. If I said to them, I'm going to send you on an Ofsted course for 2 days that guarantees you'll get an outstanding, they would find 2 days. So I really urge you, those of you that are head teachers, if you haven't signed up for the national retreat, do so. It's absolutely amazing. As a result, I became partnered with Edgecarham as cohort 1 of the NSF. Really lovely to hear my colleague earlier talking about, she's gone for a wee, talking about cohort 4. So, it's absolutely fantastic that things are coming along. But this really, really developed my spirituality. And I realized that the last time anyone had invested in my spiritual formation was when I was in year 6 preparing for confirmation. And I hadn't. I was just going through the motions and not really moving myself on. I had fabulous opportunities as part of the NSF, including time to reflect. Those of you that have done the MPQH, they constantly bang on about giving yourself time to reflect. None of us take any notice. It's really important. Give yourself time for prayer, time for reflection. In Corrymeela, when you went into the Cree, there's a door handle there that says, and when you touch the door handle, it says faith. And one of the first things I came back was on our front door, when you push the door, it says faith, and the other one says love. That's so that everyone touches faith and love when they come through that door. Because most people coming through that door, it's the door to get to my office. They're usually coming through to have a go at me. So I thought if I can just get a bit of faith and love into them before they get through the door, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Got to go to Fatima House, which is a wonderful home for refugee ladies in Birmingham. And all of these were opportunities for me to encounter Jesus. And it was just fantastic. And the staff would say that they knew if I'd been on my holy course. They'd be like, oh, you can tell she's been on a holy course. Well, I was thrilled, because if I pay money for my maths lead to go on a maths course, I want people to see the impact when he comes back. So I was absolutely delighted that they could tell I'd been on my holy course. And it meant that I was confident talking about my spirituality, going back to the book on trend, and talking about it with pupils. Not bothered. I could do this every day, all day, till the cows come home. I'm trained to do that. But staff, going back to that, Julianne, you're the spiritual director of your school. That's the Pope. That's not me. I do far too many things wrong to be the spiritual director. But turns out I am. So as a school, we use the 1010 assembly resources. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Gospel-based assemblies each week. Now, some of you may say, people have said to me, oh no, I don't use the 1010 resources. I prefer to spend my Sunday afternoon writing my own assembly. Good for you. You crack on. That's not what I am doing on a Sunday afternoon. But I was delivering this Sunday assembly. It was the gospel. Delivering the Monday assembly. And as part of the preparation, there's notes for prayer, and it was my RE leader and myself, and it was the first time we'd used this, so we spent hours making sure it was right. And it came up, now you need to pray as part of preparation, and we both sort of looked at each other. It's a bit awkward, just the two of us in the office. And I was like, well, we can't skip it now. Like, you can't, when it's saying pray, you can't press skip. So we're like, right, come on, we're going to have to pray. Right, come on. Right, come on. Because I don't know, like, for just two of you in a room, we were dying. It was the most awkward thing we'd ever done. We thought, right, let's do it. And then we did, and we prayed together. And at the end, we were both like that. That was really nice. And it was absolutely lovely. We had a hug, really missing those at the moment. And it was absolutely fantastic that we'd had that prayer time together. So we thought, right, we need to develop this, because obviously we start every meeting, every lesson, every assembly, every governor's meeting, every staff meeting with prayer, but we were missing that intimate side of prayer. So we started doing this in small groups of staff, and then we said, right, we need to do this with parents. And I tried it. Parent came in absolutely raging about something, and I just had a prayer printed on the table, and I said, I'd like to share this prayer for us together. It's not to make you feel uncomfortable. It's to remind us why we're here. And if you'd like to join in the prayer, there's the words. And if you don't want to, that's fine. Just take a few moments for reflection. And we prayed together, and you could see this parent just going, and it reminded us, let's see what's the center of our school. Why are we here? Our love of Jesus is why you chose to send your child to this school. Let's focus everything around that. And it was absolutely fantastic. As a result of that, staff became confident praying together, talking about Jesus openly, because as Catholics, we don't really like to mention Jesus. Keep a bit quiet about that. I love Jesus. Oh, she's one. So we thought, right, let's talk about Jesus and about how much we love him. And so staff started a prayer circle, because they're all young and dynamic. It was a virtual one. And we had this, and we still have a WhatsApp group that's only for prayer intentions. And you're not to respond to it. You just put your intention out. If you want an anonymous prayer intention, you can send it to me or the RE lead. I know when things have been difficult for me and for members of my family, I've really appreciated it when I've put that prayer intention out there. Oh, that's 12 minutes. Got 3 left. And it's really been popular, and it's really been successful. Staff became so used to me talking about spirituality, I thought I have to do something for them to encounter Jesus. So phoned up the local homeless shelter, Fireside, and said, look, how do you fancy during Lent, every Friday you get a volunteer? They were like, yeah, happy days. So we covered it internally, and I thought I'll get 6 weeks out of this. I had so many volunteers that we ran it for 18 months. So every Friday we'd cover internally, and a member of staff would go and volunteer at Fireside. We then stopped it because people left. People weren't working on a Friday. It's like the Marie Celeste here on a Friday. And we stopped it. That was a big mistake on my part. We were lacking. We needed that encounter. It wasn't about us helping the homeless shelter. It was about encountering Jesus. So we started with supporting St. Chad's Sanctuary, and every Friday a member of staff would go, and we did that right up until lockdown. And my staff said, we don't care that it's lockdown, we want to still go and help. These people need our help. And it was only because St. Chad's, rightly so, had to shut that down that came to a standstill. Look, I've got another page, but sorry guys, you're just going to have to not have that.
You can have one more minute.
Okay, so it's just and pastoral care. We send people on retreats, and if you go on a retreat, and that doesn't mean a day at the spa. It means if you're going on a religious retreat, I will give you time off in lieu. 2 of my staff went on a female-only weekend. They met Sarah there, and as a result of that, this is another story. You'll have to invite me to your school. As a result of that, the entire staff went on pilgrimage to Rome last December to launch the Year of the Word, and so there'll be lots of heads going, how did you get away with that? Email me, follow us on Twitter, stalk us, but at the end of the day, we are here supporting Catholic children in Birmingham, and we don't want to forget Catholic children in Birmingham. And you'll see the deputy is starting to laugh, because this is my deputy and it's his birthday today. Happy birthday Joe. So you go, Sarah, that's my time up.
Thank you very much. 3 years in a row now, you've showed me up in front of a group of people I don't know on my birthday.
I did say to Julianne that dearly as I love her, I'm actually quite pleased that I don't work as closely with her, Joe, because I know we'd spend our time embarrassing each other. Julianne, thank you. Inspirational as ever. And I knew that you would set people on fire. Julianne and I agreed that we would try and limit it to 15 minutes this week, because I think you guys get gold star awards for the questions that you have been asking. You will note that I've put some questions into the chat if you've had a chance to look. The ones I put in there are the ones from the chapter. So Julianne has referred to a couple of them. How has this chapter enabled you to reflect on your own spirituality? Have you seen anything in a new or different way? How comfortable or confident would you be talking about spiritual matters with colleagues and pupils? And as Julianne has reflected, with the pupils, maybe easier, but with colleagues, it can be quite a big ask. And then take some time, a real tip, take some time to read your school's mission statement. Julianne has made reference to hers. Are there any examples where you have seen this in action or where you've seen it disregarded? Now, guys, let's just be really clear here. We are called to be saints, but rarely do we actually behave like them. There will be times in all of our schools, of course, where it will appear that the mission statement has been disregarded, but it is actually about being intentional about your mission statement and really thinking about your policies, your procedures, your quality of welcome, everyday life. So if there is anyone out there who has not yet read it, I have put a resource down there which I cannot recommend to you enough, and that is Christ at the Centre. There's a direct link to it there. You don't need to buy the book, you can get the PDF. It's really, really powerful on spirituality and ethos of a Catholic school, and it's got lots of wonderful tips. And if you have an interview coming up, it will also give you the answer to that tricky question, which you always think you know the answer to, and then people start talking about, oh, well, it's really intangible. The answers are all there, guys. So, and also, how does it apply to you in practical terms? How does it apply to your job? So all of those things for us to reflect on. Daisy never lets me down, because here's Daisy with our first question. Daisy, go for it. With or without visor, we don't mind.
I know. So you have mentioned a lot about the mission statement and ensuring that it's followed and actually means something, and you've involved all the parents in the community. Have you got any practical activities to help engage parents with the mission if they have additional commitments and jobs, so they can't get into school a lot and be a part of the planning behind it?
Cool. I'm having visor envy now. No, we're really big on Twitter, because we realised that was the way to get the gospel into the palms of their hands. And so we've been doing lots of promotion of Catholic life, really. So the mission statement coming through that via our Twitter page. And we had a go, because I'm a big work-life balance fan, in that I think you guys should all be completely resting at the weekends and going and doing more exciting things and coming back more interesting people, 10-10, live life to the full. But one of the things we did is we had one of our family masses with the church on Sunday, and we arranged a picnic in the park afterwards, and we started, and of course not everyone comes, but it was if people were able to come, and one of my fabulous young teachers like yourself took that and ran with it and organised activities. So I think any head will know that the best way to make the mission come alive is to have dynamic, vibrant people like you, and then just let them run and say, yes, let's do it. Helps if you throw some cash in there to back them up as well. So for us, a big one was Twitter and using technology to spread the word.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julianne. Thank you, Daisy. Martin.
Hi, Julianne. You started by talking about how your mission statement was up around school when you became head and in that time before, and it wasn't really lived out. So how long do you think is the optimum time before those things that surround us just appear like wallpaper, and therefore need to be refreshed?
That is a big one, because anyone that works with me will know. I say, oh no, we don't have change. Because you have change, it upsets people. People don't like to change. So nothing ever changes at the Abbey. It evolves. And we constantly evolve. And we constantly review. And I can imagine, it might sound to other people on the outside, she must be a right nightmare if you constantly evolve, you know, constantly reviewing it, constantly moving forward. But we have a thing as well called a bring forward file. And I know this isn't, you know, spirituality, it's just practicality. We have the months of the year in this file. And so we review everything. So when we reviewed our parish week, with the best will in the world, that was in June. We are not going to remember the following June. So we write down all the things that would make it even better, what we're going to do about it. And we put that in the bring forward file for, say, April. Because next April is when we'll be planning next June's parish event again. I don't know how people operate without a bring forward file. So we're constantly reviewing, but the way we do it is we improve it for next time the minute we finished it this time. So literally we'd sit there and go, right, first had a communion, so they were absolutely brilliant, but actually this was an issue, change it now, change it now, change it now. And then it's constantly evolving. But again, as you well know, Martin, because I've met your team and they're amazing, it's down to the brilliant team that work with you, and it's about leaders at all levels contributing. So one of my main lead for Catholic Life is a teaching assistant. We have a Catholic Life team that consists of myself, the head teacher, the RE leader, the Catholic Life lead, who's a TA, and my business manager. Now, out of those four, one of them's born and bred Catholic, me. Two of them converts since they've joined school, and one of them not a Catholic. And you're like, she's on your Catholic Life team? Yes, because she's brilliant. So don't, and I know you don't have those glass ceilings. Don't leave it to the RE lead. You know, get everyone involved. Say who wants to be a part of this, and then run with it. And some stuff will land flat on its face. I had it in my thing, I haven't got time, but I've had examples where I'm like, that was really rubbish, and I don't know why I did that, but it's all part of the review. So a little tip, don't do a sort of World Book Day thing, dressing up as your favourite Bible character. It's rubbish. It doesn't work. It's really hard. Nobody can do it. Like that landed flat on its face. Absolutely rubbish. Had no impact at all. But that's okay. We didn't do it the next year. So constantly evolving, Martin.
Perfect. Thanks, Julianne.
Thank you, Julianne, and thank you, Martin, for the question. So I wonder if we've got lots of head teachers on here, which is a real blessing and a joy for us. Are there any other head teachers there who would like to comment on anything that we've heard or seen today, or have you got any top tips for our newer staff on here?
Stun them into silence. Nice.
Well, it might be, because of course I've got 2 pages. Oh, Sister Judith waving at me. Come on, Sister Judith. We'd love to hear from you.
Now.
There you are. We hear you.
Good. Julianne, thank you very, very much for that, and Martin as well. I think the key thing is for those new to Catholic education, things like spirituality, as you said so well, Julianne, can seem very scary. Your spirituality, or the spirituality of the school, is the way in which the school and you gives expression to your beliefs and values. That's our spirituality, which is why it's so important to have a very clear understanding of the mission statement, why I'm here. Now, the way in which I live that out is my spirituality. And it's as challenging as that, but it's also as simple as that. You know, there are whole libraries written about spirituality, and it boils down to the way we give expression to that which we believe and value the most. So things like you were saying, Julianne, you know, faith and love on the doors, those are little ways of helping everybody to get inside what this community is about. This is what we're here for. And it's as simple as that, really. And it's not something to be afraid of. And many people are, they go, oh gosh, spirituality course. No, no, no. That's okay for the priests or for the head teachers. No. So it's seeing you living it out, giving witness to it. That's your spirituality.
Thank you, Sister Judith. Hayley, would you like to open up your microphone and ask your question, please? Welcome back.
Thank you. My question is, we're all on different spiritual journeys, and some adults may not be as comfortable as others in discussing their spirituality or certain aspects of it. And I said, as I'm sure you know, children don't hold back in asking questions. So how would you advise someone to answer a question that they may not fully feel able to answer?
There's sort of two things there. Thank you, Hayley. About discussing spirituality is, I think, as you would say, you'd say to teachers all the time, you know, if you just say, you be honest with the children, because they'll know if you're not being honest, not being genuine. You know, if there's something you might say, do you know what, I'm not sure about that. I'm going to have to think about it, because it is such a good question. You've made me think, and I don't think I have an answer straight away. But as they taught us all at college, you have to go back with an answer. Otherwise, you're a fraud. Just like if they ask you, you know, where's the capital of so-and-so? You can't say, well, find that out, we'll come back to it. If you don't ever go back to it, they don't trust you. I was a bit mean to a member of staff that I absolutely love, and I could only do this because we have such a good professional relationship, in that I wanted testimonials on the wall. They're on the website. If you go on our school website, you'll find testimonials from a variety of people. And I said to people, here's my testimonial, you know, it's in black and white, typed out with my mugshot in the corner, of my journey of faith. And I said I would really love it if people did this. And what I really wanted was every member of staff to do it. Of course, every member of staff hasn't done it. But I was like, you know, I'd really love it if you did. And, you know, it's optional. So obviously I then went to the RE leader and said, it's not optional for you, get it done. You know, and went through various people. And a member of my senior team said, I don't think I can. And we do have a really good relationship. And I don't think I can. And I said, why? And he was like, well, I think my journey of faith is a personal thing. And this is a bit where I was a bit naughty, because I said, but it's a good job the disciples didn't say that. Oops, harsh. But it's what we're about. We're supposed to spread the good news. Now, I know everyone isn't going to be a gob on a stick like me and do it. But once you start talking about your faith, actually it becomes much easier. So we really focused on it in school, of actually saying the word Jesus, not in an RE lesson. And we worked on it. And at first you felt really like, ooh. And then we did it. But it was just the same as when people started talking about modern Britain as a phrase, we'd all go, modern Britain. Now we all say it. We're like, well, in modern Britain, this is what happens. And so we now as a staff are feeling much more comfortable talking about Jesus and a love of Jesus, because everyone's doing it. So it just feels really normal. I do think when other people come, they might think we're a bunch of nutters and they hide the tambourines. But, you know, we soon sort them out.
Thank you, Julianne. I'm going to ask the next question for him, because unfortunately Marcus is here, but his microphone's not working and his camera's off. So for Marcus from Sacred Heart, any top tips for working with Year 2 on spiritual development?
I have a brilliant top tip for working with Year 2 on spiritual development. What I do in this situation is go, Sister Judith, what would you say?
Brilliant. Come on, Sister Judith. Share the love.
Hello there. Yeah, Year 2, never underestimate Year 2. They are so deep in their thinking. They really are. And there's no hiding from them. So I think for Year 2, the big thing is looking at those big questions of purpose and meaning and asking, so why do you think that is? And that doesn't matter what subject you're in. And keep asking them. Year 2, why do you think the character in that story, why are they doing it? Now they'll come out with, because he doesn't like him. And then you explore, well, where does the feeling of not liking somebody come from? To which they go, oh, You say, does anybody know where that comes from? Not, now you're not going to come crashing in with the God talk, but you are definitely going to be enabling them to think deeply about origins of feelings and things that happen. And you're going to be saying, I wonder where that comes from. Who can come up with some ideas about where it comes from? So when they say, well, the devil or God made it, you say, oh, why did you say that? So you're always drawing out of them their innate, deep spirituality. Young children are deeply spiritual. The trouble is, by year 2, it can get knocked out of them. Not by you, but by the home situation and the society they're in. It's no longer cool to talk about Jesus. They talk about Jesus very easily. But even when they say to you, well, Jesus wants us to do that. You say, oh, where did you get that from? You said, Jesus wants you to be kind? Where did you get that? You told me. I wonder where I got it from. So you're always pushing them deeper, deeper, deeper. So they start to always think about, what's the first cause? Why am I doing this? Am I doing it because it's a school rule or you tell me to? No. Am I doing it just because of the mission statement? No, it's bigger than the mission statement. It's deeper. So you're developing their spiritual awareness, because remember, spirituality, engaging with the big questions of purpose and meaning, and how we give expression to what we believe. So really, in year 2, because they are so sharp, aren't they? They miss nothing. It's a wonderful year, a really wonderful year, because they're beginning to be independent, and you want to encourage that, not shut it down. So it's in your questions, whether you're in geography, whether you're in history, whether you're in maths, whether you're in science. Let the questions come and the spirituality flows. Does that help?
Cool. Sarah, I just, I don't know what other people's screens look like, but a question just flashed up on mine.
Yeah, I've got a few. I'm trying to work my way through them, in fairness, Julianne, because some of them are coming straight to me.
Oh, okay. So
if I could ask the next one, how are governors involved and enriched by the core living of the school's mission?
Say it again, sorry.
How are governors involved and enriched by this core living of the school's mission?
So we've got some fantastic governors, and you'll all have link governors, and one of my other hats is a Section 48 inspector, and I just looked and I was like, this is too big an area for one governor. A bit like you have your safeguarding governor. We felt that was too big an area for one governor. So we have 3 link governors. We have a link governor for Catholic Life, a link governor for RE, and a link governor for collective worship. And obviously it's not just those 3, but they're the main 3, and they have been absolutely fantastic going on this journey with us, working with the parish priest, ensuring strong links are there. And to the point of that, when the whole staff went to Rome on a pilgrimage for the launch of the Year of the Word, we offered that out to governors, and they would have to pay for themselves, as staff did. And 3 of our governors came as well, because they wanted to be a part of it, and their circumstances meant that they could come with us for that. But it is all about involving governors and supporting them as well in that journey. And as we all know, some will be absolutely fantastic with that, and some you'll just need to hold their hand, and it's that bit where you get to be St. Barnabas and walk beside them and walk on the way going forward.
Lovely, thank you, Julianne. So birthday boy Joe has a question for us now.
Thank you very much.
And I don't think it's revenge. It's a really great question.
Thank you. It was a carefully considered question. Hopefully it's difficult enough. Julianne, I know we've spoken at length about mindfulness. It's very much in the public forum. Mental well-being of schools is often discussed, and there are reams and reams of resources you can access online regarding mindfulness. And I know you feel very passionately about the links between what mindfulness is compared to what spirituality is. Would you care to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, there was a lot about when mindfulness was quite the buzzword, and we were being told, and you never know what's true and what's not true, fake news, and people say no, as Catholics you can't do mindfulness, you can't, that's not okay, you're not allowed to do that. And I was like, well, what I'm actually asking the children to do, and the adults, is to stop and to reflect and to talk to God and to say, am I being the person that you have called me to be? Am I doing everything in the best way I can to glorify your name? And when you look at it like that, so maybe we can call it what we like, it's about stopping, reflecting, praying, and waiting for that answer. And we are so busy, and you probably gathered from listening to me, I'm like, bang, 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 come on, let's go. And so for me to go, shut up, stop, pray, is a challenge. But it's one of the questions that came up, and I'm sorry, Sarah, if I'm being naughty. Amy Fletcher's question was about resources on spirituality. That was linked to that, because sometimes for me is, if I'm not able to get there, and well, I'll use a resource, I'll use a podcast, and let's listen to what's going on. Use a podcast to help you pray if that's what you need right now, or go for a walk, notice creation. I'm a member of my staff who I love dearly. If I told him to read a book, he'd rather just chop his arm off. He isn't going to read a book. But if I point him in the direction of a podcast, he'll pop that on while he's doing things around. And you were mentioning David Wells. I don't know if he came in, Sarah.
I don't think he has.
No, CJM. I was listening to the CJM podcast. Yes, if you Google CJM Music, they had a lovely podcast. Joe Boyce from there was talking to David Wells and talking about us being spectators. Right now, we're being spectators in our faith, whereas we're used to being engaged in it. And I just was sitting, I was going around, I was doing all bits and pieces. It was amazing. And then from that, I started listening. I was like, then I listened to a podcast about Newman. And I was like, and it just took me onto all different kinds of planes. So, Amy, yes, read books. I'm doing my master's degree at Twickenham at the minute. It's hard. If you want to do that sort of thing, go and look at St. Mary's in Twickenham. There's excellent resources and training from the National School of Formation. Amy, I don't know what stage of your career you're at, but there's a whole load of new courses coming in that are just going to be amazing. So look at the Educarum website and, start dabbling with these podcasts. You young people, you know how to get them. Go on the YouTube, you'll find them.
Yeah, loads of them there. And in fact, we've been sending out a lot of resources, whether they're podcasts, videos, there's so much out there. So we're continuing to send out to our schools suggestions for things like that. And the great thing about NSF is they send you articles that are like 2 or 3 pages long. So even for those people who don't read, they're accessible. Amy, I will come back to you. I don't want you to lose your moment on camera. Benji, could you open up your camera, please, and ask, mic, please, and ask your question? Benji Davis.
I didn't have a question, I don't think. I think I just had a comment, which...
okay. But, I think share it with us anyway.
I'm here from a secondary school perspective, and I think one of the things that we need to say is that we teach, our teenagers that we have are the same children that our primary colleagues love and nurture and form through their primary education. And it's so important that we don't lose the spirituality that's been nurtured so well. And I'm not saying I do this perfectly, because I really don't. And I make mistakes all the time. But the best thing to do with teenagers, and certainly upper primary school and probably lower primary school as well, is listen to them. What matters to them? What do they care about? And that's where you see the deeper spirituality develop. When the children, yes, you do need to have the kind of day-to-day liturgical prayers and prepare them for their first Holy Communion, take them through the sacraments, so important. But it's also important to react as well. And in education, sometimes we talk about being reactive as a bad thing. We should always be proactive. But in my opinion, and the way that I've learned over the years, is that the reactive side of spirituality is incredibly important. Whether it's a response to the bomb at Manchester Arena, or whether it's a response to this international pandemic, or whether it's a terror attack in New Zealand. And that's where we see the spirituality that's been nurtured throughout primary school manifest itself once again in secondary school pupils who have closed off to spirituality because of all the pressures around them. And it's important that we listen to them. And that's all. That's what my comment was. Sorry, it wasn't.
No, that's great, Ben. Thank you. Really valuable. Julianne, do you want to add anything to that before we move on?
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to go to Thomas More's in Crewe, where my friend Claire is the head. And of course, typical head teacher, when you're in someone else's school and they put you in a room and say, stay there, you don't. You get out and you want to see what's going on. Because like they leave us at 11 and we don't get to see these fabulous young adults. And the pupils were, and I think it was linked to the Manchester bombings, that they were organising a hot chocolate sale, and they were so dynamic and they were so passionate about what they wanted to do that we were like, Claire, can we bring them in? Can we bring them in? And we got them to talk to us completely off the cuff. They hadn't prepared it. And I just think it's such a privilege as secondary colleagues getting to work with these young people and forming them. That's where I realised I wanted to be a teacher, because of my amazing RE teacher at second. I wanted to be an RE secondary teacher, but I went to the dark side. Sorry, Ben. But it was from these amazing, influential people that formed us. And actually, my secondary school across the road, loads of those people from there became teachers. Is that a data exercise on how good the teachers there were because they influenced us? I don't know. But yeah, it's such an honour, and I love seeing them because they're going to change the world, and they're not all beaten and battered like us 40-year-olds, 46.
Absolutely. I was there that day, and those young people were absolutely on fire. So the next two questions I'm kind of going to take together, because one of them is anonymous, but I think it might actually be from Claire. It says, Julianne, can you tell us more about the skin-on-skin experiences you have developed in your school? But Bernie, if I could open up your mic, because I think I'm linking the two of them together, if you could ask your question.
Yeah, so I've just, finished doing the NSF as part of cohort 4 with Vanessa, and it's had a huge impact on me. And I just wanted to know, and you've spoke a lot today about the NSF, but what's been the biggest impact on you, and what will you take with you in your new role, into your new role?
I think it's the people. It's the people that I've met along the way. At the start of NSF, they kept calling us a group, and they were saying, oh, this group. And I just kept thinking, we're not a group. We're just 30 people sat in the same room. And they kept calling us, Sister and Brendan, kept calling us a group, and together as a group. And I was like, mate, I am not a group. I am just one person with this lot. And then I started looking around at this lot and thinking, why am I here? Like, they're really good. She must have got it wrong. There must be somebody else with my name. And then it's that realisation that we are all in this together, and that actually that bloke up north is having the same problems as that woman down south is having the same problems as me, and realising that we are part of a Catholic family. I'm really lucky because in Birmingham there are lots and lots of Catholic schools, and we're all completely on top of each other. I know that where Sarah is, it could be miles and miles and miles for your next Catholic colleague. And so realising that we are all together and we do have the technology to support each other, and completely having a network of, and it's really weird as grown-ups, Bernie, I don't know if you've got to this point in cohort 4, there's a bit where you're looking at each other, don't like the look of her, yeah, there we go, and then you think, oh, actually, she's quite nice, she is, and then you become professional friends. And then it's like, oh, can I join you for breakfast this morning? And then us lot in cohort 1, we're actually now that really weird thing of actual friends. It's really weird as a grown-up when you're like, would you like to come to my house for a barbecue? I know it will take you an hour to get there, but would you like to stop? And so we've got people, we've had, obviously not at the moment, but we've had you know, social weekends, but I've got a network, and that's the thing that I'm going to take with me to my new role, because I'm so lucky here. I've got 60 staff who are all amazing, and they make me look good. You know, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I've got 60 brilliant people who run this school amazingly. Well, I'm going to go forward where there's just me and another person in an office. Hiya. And so I need to have a network of people that will support me, and I think that's the biggest thing, of people who have the same passion and the same love for Catholic schools, that I can just pick up the phone and go, help. So that's, I think, what I'm going to move forward. The other person, I don't know what they're talking about.
Skin experiences.
I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to say I'm a great believer in positive touch, and that's something that's been removed now. You know, Jesus was all about, you know, positive touch. Let the little children come to me, lay hands on people, and like that has gone now. Like, we're not, you know, it's like, let the little children come to within 2 meters of me, and so that's going to be a really difficult time for us, but something that David Wells was talking about. Now it's the opportunity for us to be the strong vine from which the new fruit comes, and that's quite a responsibility, isn't it? Because what's going to happen with church, you know, because, you know, sorry sister, but I was at mass the other day doing the washing up. Oops. And then I thought, no, this isn't right, I need to do this properly. But it's, you know, let's evolve and let's move forward, but let's make sure that, you know, new branches come from this, and there's new strength. But I've no idea what I was doing with Skin to Skin. Sorry.
Sorry, Sarah, that was me. I'm really sorry.
Yes, I thought it was you.
Because I've got 4 children and I can't do home educating because I've got enough computers in the house, so I've had to nick somebody's laptop. So no, what it was, Julianne, I've stolen from all you lot the skin on skin experience that you're having with the transformational visits. So I know that the primary schools were very quick on taking what we did at the National School of Formation when we went to the Philippines and all these different places, and transferring it into your own school so that your staff were able to experience those transformational visits as we had done on that. And I think that will have a huge impact on my staff when I start doing it. And I just wondered if you want to share a little bit more about that, going to Fatima House and the sanctuary and things.
Yeah, that kind of came from Sister Mary John and also Pope Francis, this kind of not assuming what the people that you're trying to help with and walk alongside, not assuming that you know what they need, but actually it was listening to them and walking alongside them. And they call it a skin to skin experience, spending time with them and going to these places instead of just throwing money at it, going to walk alongside these people and find out what they need from you. And do you know what? So much more than that, Claire and Julianne, I'm sure you'd agree, find out what they can offer you, because it's always a reciprocal arrangement, isn't it? We gain so much from working with people who had a whole variety of needs, really. Sorry, Julianne, didn't mean to cut you off there, but I'm conscious there are 6 questions to go and only about 4 minutes.
Go.
So anything to add there, or shall we move on?
Any of you, if you are heads, I would really urge you to try and find opportunities to release staff, to have that experience, to encounter. It was voluntary. People could do it or not do it. It was entirely up to them. It was on a Friday. We covered it in-house, you know, so there was a bit of the TA was covering, this person was covering. It's fine, you'll get away with it. I had, as I said, it was 18 months of people. One member of staff who I get on really well with, she really didn't want to go. She really didn't want to go. She was frightened of going to the homeless centre. And I said to her, we go training together. She cycles, I run. And I said, look, you've got to go. You've got to go. I know you'll love it. And I wouldn't have pushed somebody else, but because I knew her so well. And she was like, you're going to make me go, aren't you? And I said, yes. And she didn't speak to me for 3 days because she was so scared. And she went and she came straight back in, and they didn't have to come back after us. She came straight back to school and she just gave me a massive hug. And she said, thank you so much. That was amazing. Why was I scared? these are people who've come, you know, unfortunate times. So if you can do it, however you can do it, I really urge you to. And now that we go to St Chad's Sanctuary, it's just gone and gone and gone. And because teachers and TAs have come back with a passion, that's gone on to the children, and the chaplaincy team are now leading it. And we did take children to the hours. I know Martin's a big advocate of that. But of course, everything's on pause at the moment, but it will start again.
Thank you. Claire, are you happy with that? Do you think your question's answered? Thank you. Sister Judith, the next question's coming to you, if that's okay. And we're going to have to be really brief because I don't want to miss out any of these wonderful questions. But Sister Judith, a question from Georgia.
Sorry.
Thanks, Georgia.
My question,
Hi, Georgia.
how could NQTs get involved in the Catholic retreats you spoke about so that they could develop their own spirituality?
It's a very good question. Which diocese are you?
At Salford.
Ah, right, there you go. Okay, so what's really important is the retreats we're talking about is for head teachers, so that's a bit difficult. But one of the things that we do in Educarum is we provide days of retreat or even overnight retreats for either your staff or a cluster of you. So you'll very quickly discover through Salford that you're networking with other schools, and that's something that I think is very important. And yeah, it is possible. So you've got Simon Smith is your director. Which is your school?
It will be Sacred Heart in September.
Oh, there you go. Right, okay. So that's absolutely fantastic. So yes, we do special ones just for schools, for whole staff and their governors. And we usually bring in the chaplaincy team as well. A day of real deep reflection and prayer. And that's one way of making it available to everybody. But talk to Martin about that, and undoubtedly, yes, it is possible, and I think it's very important.
Thank you, Sister Judith. And just to highlight there for some of you that Ben has very helpfully put in the chat, the World Community for Christian Meditation. He's put the resources there. If you're interested in mindfulness or Christian meditation, have a look at their resources. Their apps are fabulous. When I'm teaching meditation, I always use those. So do have a look at that resource. Rachel, if you could come on and ask your question, please.
So my thoughts with that, there are some children out there that might be Catholic but don't necessarily regularly go to church other than at school, or they might be from non-Catholic families. So obviously when we do go back, whenever that may be, it might be quite a long time since they've been around that Catholic ethos and spirituality that we have within the schools. So it was just, do you have any tips then of how we can get back to the new normal that will be?
What a fantastic opportunity for us to say, come on in, the doors are open, you're welcome, we love you. And that's what, I don't know how it's been with people coming back to your school. We've got about 100 in, we had about 100 in today. Now, yes, we are in our little bubble, and all in our little bubbles. I had a heartbroken little boy on Monday. His mum came up to me at the end of the day, as we social distance, and she said, he's so upset. And I was like, why? She said, because he's been in his classroom all day and you told him he was going to be in a bubble. Like, oops, I did feel a little bit heartbroken by that. Sorry. But it was, they were, and the children have come back like that, straight away. They are responding, they're loving it, and it's just giving them lots of opportunities. And actually, I think we've got a lot more flexibility now with the curriculum, that we can really look at delivering it through a Catholic lens. I don't know if your school does the Building the Kingdom program.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Happy days, you're sorted. Crack on, you'll be great.
Thank you. Yasmin, would you like to come and ask your question, please?
Hi, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, Julianne, thanks so much. It's been just really inspiring listening to you and just seeing your obvious enthusiasm and your passion. So my question, it sounds like you've been on a real journey discovering how to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, and that now you're seeking to be a living example of that message. What do you do personally, day to day, to keep the flame of your faith alive?
Thank you, Yasmin. That's sort of links to our colleague's question earlier about what was on, I think it was Bernie, about what we're going to move forward. just when I'm on my knees and I think I can't do this, this is just dreadful, one of my colleagues that I've met in this group sends me a message. The Holy Spirit works in mysterious ways. They send me a phone call, they drop me a line, they send me a text. Don't think there haven't been times, Yasmin, where I've just been on my knees thinking, I can't do this. And I went to the director of the Birmingham Archdiocese, Director of Education, years ago. I was ahead. This is going to be my 12th year next year. And I said to him, I don't think I want to be ahead anymore. And do you know what, mate? I'm not entirely sure I want to be a Catholic. And to get to that point, to have been that driven down and that beaten down, it was a hideous place to be. And he helped. I talked to him and he said, right, let's talk about this, let's do this. And sometimes it just needs, you have to share with other people for them to give you that clarity. But I have to say, I'm like the Holy Spirit, I'm a great believer. I am so blessed. There are clearly angels on my shoulder, because just when I get to the point of going, I can't do this, somebody gives me that inspiration and reminds me why I'm doing it. And Yasmin, just talking about that, I've been thinking about you all week, because you are secretly behind that box. You're not showing us your face, but you spoke at the end of last week's talk, and I thought you were inspirational. So I'm just going to keep working on you getting that camera on, because I want to see the lady that was so inspirational last week.
Yes, absolutely.
Make sure I get my
fabulous.
makeup in. I'll get my makeup on in time. Thanks.
Thank you, Yasmin. And yes, I would like to echo back. I'm sure the colleagues on the NSF would agree that Julianne is often that person for me. After the first time I met Julianne, she was so sweet. She sent me a message to my school, a little envelope, and inside it was a message saying, so lovely to have spent time with you, and a little chocolate bar. I mean, the little touches like that, Julianne, we can change people's worlds with that. So a hearty thank you from me to all of our colleagues on NSF, and Sister Judith for having the inspiration, really. Amy, you put a thank you very much, and I know that Julianne has asked your question, but I don't know if there's something else you want to ask or reflect on before we move on to 2 more questions.
Hello. No, I think the podcast was a good idea. I'd never give that a thought, really. So thank you very much for that. That was really useful. And I loved your voice as well, so that's good. And then I think sort of Georgia asked as well, you know, it's a bit sort of like the CPD and stuff. Obviously, we don't know when we'll get to do physical CPD again, but it was just like sort of pointing in the direction, but I think it was answered. So thank you very much to everybody.
Oh, thanks, Amy. Lovely to see you. And another one, if you're up for it, Robert Barron, Weld on Fire Ministries. Some of his videos and his little podcasts are fabulous, and many of them are free at the moment. So grab those while you can, because they're quite accessible. And if you can try and seek out James Mallon as well, lots of his videos are available on YouTube at the moment. So hearty recommendations for me. Daniel, you have a question. Would you like to open up your mic?
Yeah, hiya. I've really enjoyed listening to all the amazing things that's done at Julianne's school this week. And I was just wondering, I know in my school we do a lot on spirituality and things and try and form the children, but have you got any spectator examples where you've seen the children express their spirituality to form the spirituality of others, like some of the other children in school, where it's not been led by an adult or a lesson? It'd be really good to share that with some of the children in my school when they go back.
Yeah, we started up a chaplaincy team, you know, a bit like school council. And again, it's this constant evolving and constant review. We started up a chaplaincy team, and basically they just became the crucifix police, and it just wasn't working. And they were it just wasn't working at all. So we reviewed it, and we went and we supported them. And then we said, like, which members of staff want to lead this? And over the years, it's become now that the pupil chaplaincy team is so fantastic. What we had to do first was we sat down with all of our pupil voice groups, and we had a pupil parliament after school. And the first thing we did was we set out whose job was what, because the school council and the chaplaincy team kept bashing heads and stepping on each other's toes. So once we'd established that, and we met as a pupil parliament once a half term, so 6 times in the year, once a half term we met, then we gave them a voice on the newsletter, and it was timetabled. And it got to the point now where chaplaincy team are knocking down my door. So chaplaincy team then got the director for education. He was in the building. They knew he was in the building. So they pinpointed him and said, right, what are we going to do about the refugee children who don't have places in Catholic schools? And he got to hear it firsthand from the chaplaincy team, that he then went off and was able to do things, and it's giving them a voice and empowering them to do it. As a result of that, we were absolutely delighted last year. The chair of our chaplaincy team, a year 6 girl, Ashton, entered some, you know how things come into your inbox. It was a Million Minutes organisation came through, and it was a competition for 11 to 18-year-olds about people who are changing the world. And we entered Ashton just because she was amazing. And I said to her, look, mate, you're not going to be in with a look-in, because these are secondary school pupils, you know, but you just need to know that it's really wonderful that we've nominated you. She only went and won it because, you know, she was absolutely fantastic. And then it's been passed on and passed on. I know Sister Judith has spoken to our chaplaincy team, and they are phenomenal. But again, that's because the brilliant staff that I have, but leaders at all levels, and it's just empowering people and letting them run with it. And I think sometimes head teachers, particularly new heads, you panic a bit and you hold on to it, and sometimes it's really annoying because you let go of it and they don't do it as well as you would have done. You just have to let that go, and you just have to let that go and help them and support them. And what I found now here is I come up with an idea, I say I was thinking this, and then the staff do it 10 times better than I ever imagined. And then the pupils do it 10 times better than that. It wasn't always like that. I used to listen to people like me saying, oh, my staff's amazing. And I used to think, good for you. Lovely, you enjoy that. But you know, when you get there and everyone's doing all this amazing work, it's fantastic. So, but I'd be more than happy. I think it was Daniel. If you want to get in touch afterwards, Abbey Catholic Primary School website. There's an address, email on there for me, or if you want to come on Twitter, do a bit of cyber stalking. I'd be more than happy to talk to you after this. Not today, next week.
Happy with that, Daniel?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Julianne. And really, yeah, just another very short clip from me to say that, yeah, just give the children the opportunities and the experiences, and then just let them go, because they will run with it. They will take it exactly where they want to. Hopefully they'll be open to the Spirit. One example of that was when we did a prayer spaces event in our parish church. We designed with the children what we set up, they set them up, and then we left them to lead it. And we sat back, we had parishioners, and obviously not possible at the moment, but parishioners and parents coming through. We set it up as an ecumenical event, so we had people come from other churches, and those children stunned us. We didn't tell them what to say, we didn't tell them what to do. They were just there guiding people through. And we had children who decided they would take them to absolutely every single prayer station and stay with them. And they were doing things like turning to the adults and saying, would you like us to pray with you now? Is there anything you would like us to pray for? And it was just beautiful. So the number of parishioners who left there in tears, but joyous, happy tears. Children will always continue to stun you with their ability. Just let them go, light them up and let them go. Fired up, ready to go, Sister Judith. Final question. I'm sorry, guys, if any of you need to go, we totally understand. We've taken up your working day, but Sam, I don't want you to miss out. So Sam Dutson from Sacred Heart.
Hi, sorry, yeah, it's just a quick question. We use the daily prayer PowerPoints at Sacred Heart, which I find work really well with the children in my class at promoting spirituality. But do you think, in your opinion, 10 minutes, roughly set aside 10 minutes a day to do those, is that enough, or do you think we should be doing it more?
How wonderful. I'm absolutely delighted that you are using a resource and you're not trying to reinvent the wheel and spending your Sunday afternoons doing this. So it's not a resource that I'm familiar with, so I'm going to nick that. But I'm absolutely delighted that you're using that and you'll be adding your own touch on it. But if everybody just spent 10 minutes a day in meaningful prayer, how amazing would that be? How absolutely fantastic. So I think it's absolutely brilliant that you are guiding those children to do it. And hopefully, a little bit talking about our colleague was saying, Rachel was saying earlier, about maybe they're not doing this, but hopefully some of the children will have been inspired during lockdown to continue doing something like that at home, because you're leading with it. So I think you're really leading the way there with having a really good focused 10 minutes of prayer every day. And I think I am going to contact you afterwards and find out what that resource is and nick it.
Are you talking about the 10-10 ones, Sam?
Yeah, it's the 10-10 ones that we use, yeah.
The daily classroom prayers, they're beautiful and they build up across the week. They are absolutely beautiful. Oh, and look, last minute there, Vanessa, CGM Music Podcast is called Music for the Masses on the podcast if anybody wants to subscribe. It looks good. So thank you, Vanessa. Another great tip. So I think that we are done with questions. Another fabulous week. I love this because we are literally, we trust in the Spirit to provide, and every week you guys never cease to amaze us. And how lovely that so many of you keep coming back week after week. It has been amazing to see so many of you. We wish you a very happy week. We are back here next Thursday, so same time from now on. It will be 3:30 p.m. In case you missed Joe's birthday photo last time, Julianne is holding it up for us again now.
I don't know where she hides that in the office, but it appears every year.
Of course, there is an opportunity. Are you having a birthday before you leave, Julianne?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. We'll make one up then, Joe. And we may all partake. Anyone from NSF or who's been part of planning this, if you want to stay behind, well, anyone actually who wants to stay behind afterwards and have a chat. Thank you so much. I am going to finish in prayer as we should. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Disturb us, Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, when we arrive safely because we sail too close to the shore. Disturb us, Lord, to dare more boldly, to venture on wider seas, where storms will show your mastery, where losing sight of land, we shall find stars. Amen to that. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Quote from the book, Sir Francis Drake, but it's from the chapter that Julianne has been focusing on this week. Thank you so much, everyone. Lots of love. Have a fabulous week and see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you.